Here it is at last, the Helios Tarot forecast for the month, or Tarot Horoscope drawn specifically for your astrological zodiac sign. I'm B.R. Newman, in case you didn't know that already. Check out my website, IamHelios.com, through the link below, and consider everything that I have to offer there. Consider signing up to receive any number of the personal readings that I offer, or consider signing up to take a course. The choice is yours. There's a lot to explore there. Also consider checking out Annie Botticelli's Storyteller forecasts to see the astrological side of everything you're going to see here. It's fascinating, I promise. So, okay, I guess we'll just jump right into it. So here it is, Capricorn, your 5-card Helios spread for the month of November. This is a kind of condensed Golden Dawn spread, which uses 15 cards. In this case, we have 5 to the same results. We have a central theme, 2 dimensional timeline options for you to choose from, a past section, and a fate section. We have here a very interesting reading, consisting of 2 major arcana cards as your 2-dimensional timelines, along with major arcana as your central theme, being the Hanged Man. Some kind of massive shift in perspective is pending. It's probably happening now. You're in the process of shifting this perspective now. And the idea here, I can say it right here in the beginning, is to make this conscious. So the best way to do that, you have to figure that out for yourself. You have these 2-dimensional timelines to choose from, and upon illustrating the definition of each of these, you can decide for yourself which is the best way. Of course, I will offer advice. On the one hand, you have the Lover's card, and on the other, you have the Fool. Even though these are 2 heavy-hitting, high-gravity cards, I think we can break them down into something quite simple, a very usable and workable dichotomy from which you can make a choice. Before we get into these, it's important that we note the 9 of Swords in your Fate section. So that's a complicated card. Although I think I can explain it quite simply, all 9s in tarot are associated with Spherith number 9, which is known as Yesod on the Tree of Life, which is a kind of engine room of creation. And very often this is a positive card. Although here we have a Swords suit, and the swords always come with a warning. There's an equal manifestation or an equal possibility of the manifestation of the negative potential. All swords are double-edged swords, you could say. So Yesod as manifest through air, in this case this is a mechanical lack of compassion and a kind of cruelty. So you can see that that may actually be the force that shifts your perspective through the central theme, through the Hanged Man, if you don't make it conscious. So I said in the beginning, the idea here is to make this deliberate, to make it conscious, to decide to shift your perspective. So you're going to have to see something differently. If you don't do it yourself, the universe is going to take over and topple you. So you want to avoid that because that can get a little bit messy. When what I call the dead mechanism takes over, it doesn't really care about your feelings, and it doesn't really care how it achieves its goal. It just achieves its goal, quite objectively and impersonally. So make it conscious. Assuming you do make the shift in perspective conscious, you'll be able to shift the whole idea of the 9 of Swords into that of its highest expression, its highest manifestation, which is the ultimate end result of the Sword suit. What the Sword suit wants is humility. So long as this shift in perspective results in humility, you'll be able to just jump right over any of the negative implications that we find in your fate section here. Because the end result, the desired end result, is that shift in perspective you have in your central theme. So long as you do that fully with all of your heart, and so long as the revelation, the inevitable revelation, comes about from having made that shift, then the goal will be achieved, the lesson will be learned. So, which of these 2-dimensional timelines will best aid you in this process? On the one hand, you have the Fool. Now, the Fool is all about doing things that you have never done before, stepping out into a new world in a new way, with a new perspective, with a bounce in your heart, almost enthusiastic, but entirely naive. So therefore extremely vulnerable. And this particular brand of vulnerability is something that you want to avoid. You want to have control here. You want to have say. You want to be conscious of where you're steering, what you're steering into. And the Fool is anything but that. The Fool simply walks through the door out into whatever, and then whatever happens. So that doesn't sound quite like making the Hanged Man decision conscious. What might actually do that is the Lover's card. Now, the Lover's carries a similar energy to the Fool in a way. You try something different. You do something that is perhaps opposite to the way you usually do something. And doing so allows you to activate a kind of alchemical ingredient, in the whole process that allows gold to be created from lead. So what was once problematic could now aid you and assist you because you're doing something so different, you see everything differently. And that seeing everything differently is precisely what we want to see from the Hanged Man, and precisely what we would require before the Nine of Swords actualizes as a potential. So the Lover's card here is quite obviously the wiser path, but how can we much more clearly solidify this in a way that you can, tangibly work with it and make a choice? So I think this can be quite simple. The Lover's card can come about by doing something as simple as acknowledging something that you haven't acknowledged before to someone, paying off some kind of debt, a simple act of kindness, or in a romantic relationship, showing up for your partner in a way that you haven't really done before. Do something extra special, or just demonstrate to them how much they mean to you. Not simply tell them, but demonstrate. It has to be an act of demonstration. You have to be actively participating in the unfolding of the event, not merely suggesting it. So your active participation is the alchemical ingredient. You have to do something different, do something perhaps opposite to what you usually do. So the act of doing something opposite is actually participating in, or demonstrating, I should say, a kind of willingness to take a leap of evolution that is arguably the greatest leap of evolution that a human being can experience, which is becoming one's own opposite without abandoning, the truth of our being at the foundational level. So the Lover's card by no means suggests being someone different, doing something out of your character, doing something that feels wrong. No, this is simply stretching your capacity to do something that you would normally think impossible, or normally just not really ever consider. So it's going to require some reflection, some imagination, some running simulations in your mind, figuring out different ways you could do things, and then just, spending some time patiently contemplating the possibility that, hey, yeah, you could actually do that thing that you had never really considered doing because it's not one of your go-tos, it's not your default, it's not something you've tried before, and it might seem a little scary, like uncharted territory, but at least it will be in your hands, rather than going about this like the fool and just plunging into it all head first, without any thought, without having run any simulations in your mind, having no idea how it's going to go, and having no real clear concept on where it's all leading, what it's all for. So the intent is crucial, and the willingness alone is not enough. Like I had said before, it can't just be a suggestion. You have to participate, and quite importantly, allow another the space to fully synergize with your decision, to fully integrate your decision into their lives. And this may sound vague, but I think upon reflecting on your own life circumstances, you might gain quite a bit of clarity from this. This is a general reading applying to everyone who shares your sun sign, so it is going to be up to you to figure out how this is specific to you, how this is relevant to you. To start out, if you're at least willing to see something differently, willing to topple yourself over to some respect, to make some kind of personal sacrifice, as the Hanged Man here has done in your central theme, to look at something so different, to look at the whole world different. I mean, obviously, due to his particular view, everything is upside down, when really it's just him that's upside down. So maybe that's precisely what you require right now in order to seemingly engage a kind of different world, a new paradigm. What you have to change is yourself. And in doing so, you'll be able to avoid the whole mechanical lack of compassion, dead mechanism of the universe taking over and toppling you thing, which is never fun. So let's make this fun. Make the decision to shift your perspective, but not rashly, not compromising anything about the truth of your being. Don't lunge forward as the fool would do, but cautiously consider what might be the most effective way to go about doing this. Let someone in on the process, perhaps, get a second opinion, and then make this an active participation between you and the world and all of the representatives of the world, most likely manifesting as your closest relationships. That's probably where you're going to gain all of your cues and all of the specifics, all of the details you require to proceed with the decisions that you make around shifting your perspective and doing something differently so as to avoid that Nine of Swords cruelty. And I should briefly mention, the Four of Wands is of little consequence in this case, being in the presence of such heavy-hitting high-gravity cards. The Four of Wands simply suggests that something has come to a completion, you've reached the end of some stage and are now ready for something new. It really goes without saying, since the Hanged Man here in your central theme implies that a new perspective is needed, because something has, reached its fullest potential already, and now it's time to move on. And yeah, I think that's about all I really need to say about your past section. So that about wraps this up for the month. Thank you so much for listening to this and for watching. Please do consider contacting me for a personal reading of any kind. You can check out everything that I have to offer on my website, IamHelios.com. You can also sign up for a master course I have available there. Whatever you choose, we can take this incredibly far and deep. You can gain so much from our work together, as many people have already. I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks again.